So you've been thinking of moving abroad? Don't overlook Indonesia. It's not just Bali and beaches. And it's becoming a real magnet for expats, for good reason. I've actually had some viewers comment and thank me for bringing Indonesia to their attention. They said they'd been looking at other countries in Southeast Asia and hadn't even given Indonesia a passing glance. But now they're happy to hear my story and are considering Indonesia. In this video, I'll tell you about just a few of the appealing reasons that Indonesia is a great expat destination. And at the end of this video, I'll explain why life here fulfills my dreams for adventure. My arrival in Indonesia back in 1982 was a risk that I jumped at when a short-term job here showed up on my radar. Totally spontaneous. I knew nothing about this country, but I thought, well, I can do 3 months, even if it turns out to be the worst place on earth. Yes, I was lucky. I would have gone just about anywhere. But the thing is that luck only works when a person is willing to take a risk. And I was definitely willing to take this risk. And now Indonesia has become my adopted home. Yes, that 3-month job has turned into 42 years at this point. I would have never thought that. But I found a life here that allowed me to become the person I knew I was deep inside. Hi, I'm Kate. I'm an introvert expat living in Indonesia, and I make videos about living the best life you can. Whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, a retiree, an expat, a digital nomad, whatever. I hope you'll leave me a comment at the end of this video. Let me know what your thoughts are about what I've had to say. If you've been toying with the idea of expat life, I just want to make sure that Indonesia is on your checklist. It has more to offer than incredible food or gorgeous beaches. Those are great perks, sure. But the more you know about this country, the more it starts to make sense why so many Westerners are choosing to live right here. So let me tell you about my experience here in Yogyakarta. I'm not going to talk about tourist sites because I'm just talking about life as an expat. So let's break down just a very few of the reasons why this country deserves a serious spot on your radar. Not just as a place to visit, but maybe as a place to live. First, affordability is a biggie, right? You agree? Imagine how different your life could feel if you weren't constantly stressing about rent and credit card bills. For a lot of future expats, cost of living is at the top of their list, and Indonesia delivers. In places like Yogyakarta, where I live, you can rent a house, eat fresh local food, even hire someone to help with cleaning or cooking if you want. All for a fraction of what you'd pay back home. Even in popular spots like Bali or bigger cities like Jakarta, there are still areas where your money goes a long way. If you're living on Social Security or freelance income, you know that trying to stretch that in the US doesn't get you very far. You might always be just one emergency away from disaster. Here, internet access, for example, is solid in most areas. Digital nomads won't have any problem working remotely. So whether you're thinking about retiring, teaching English, freelancing online, or whatever, There's room here for you. You can do it here, affordably. Second, Indonesia ranks near the top of global surveys for friendliness. People smile at you. They're curious about you. And there's a strong culture of hospitality. After living here for more than 40 years, I can tell you that locals are incredibly kind, warm, gracious. The cultural emphasis on hospitality, politeness, and mutual respect is tradition. That means that even if you show up without local language skills and you don't understand the culture yet, you'll still likely be met with patience, not eye rolls. The tradition of hospitality here means that people look out for each other, including expats who might not fit in yet. And no, this doesn't mean that you'll never feel like an outsider. You will. That's inevitable. But it does mean that you'll probably be welcomed in faster than you expect. And third, the local Indonesian language is surprisingly easy to learn. You know, they use the ABC alphabet, so that's good. That helps. And learning the basics is pretty easy. I can hear you saying things like, "Not for me. I'm terrible at foreign languages." And it's true. But here's the good news. Bahasa Indonesia is one of the most beginner-friendly languages out there. Because unlike French or Spanish that you might have taken in high school, there are no verb conjugations. And the language is phonetic. You spell it just like you hear it. You'd be surprised how quickly you could learn the basics for shopping, taking transport, or ordering food without too much trouble. You won't be writing essays or even watching the evening news. Who wants to watch that anyhow? But you'll be able to order dinner in a restaurant. Plus, a lot of Indonesians, especially in urban areas or near schools, lots of Indonesians speak at least some English. So you're never totally stranded. Fourth, you might wonder about safety. Well, no country is perfect, of course. But Indonesia is generally a very safe place to live. Violent crime is rare. People don't have guns. And in most areas, people take care of their communities. You might still need to watch your wallet in a busy market, but you probably won't fear walking home alone at night. Fifth, you can reinvent yourself here. This is my favorite. Maybe one of the biggest reasons Indonesia works so well for expats is that it offers something Western countries don't always make easy: the chance to reinvent yourself. That's what I did. Whether you're burned out, downsizing, switching careers, healing from heartbreak, or just over it all, Indonesia gives you a soft place to land. There's less pressure to achieve, less judgment if you want to live simply, and a lot more freedom to design a life that feels like you. No one criticizes me for being my quiet, introvert, rather hermit-like self. So you can write that book, start that YouTube channel, volunteer, learn to paint, or do absolutely nothing. And no one's asking why. Sixth, you might be wondering about religion. You might ask, is it mostly Muslim? Will I feel out of place? Totally fair question. Yes, Indonesia is the world's largest Muslim majority country. But it's not what you might expect if your only exposure to Islam has been through Western news. The government here is secular, and you'll find large populations of Hindus, Christians, Buddhists, Confucianists, It's a diverse and complex mix, and friendships cross borders. So why do I love living here? Well, in the beginning, everything here was an adventure. Finding a house to rent, basic shopping, seeing other parts of the country, and more. But now my days continue to have small adventures. And so I never find myself in a boring routine. Even after 42 years living here, I get surprised when I look out my window and see someone climbing coconut trees across the street to get some young coconuts for their delicious drink. When I came here, I wasn't searching for paradise. I was searching for a way of life that gave me a way to enjoy my daily existence. And Indonesia has done that and more. So is Indonesia right for you? That depends. If you need rigid structure, 5 Starbucks within walking distance, a Walmart nearby, you might struggle, maybe just a bit. But if you're open to a different way of life, Indonesia might just be the fresh start you didn't even know you needed. You don't have to be rich to start over. You don't have to be young. You don't even have to be brave. You just have to be willing to train burnout for balance. And in Indonesia, that trade might finally be worth it. So if you've been asking yourself, could I really move to Indonesia and be happy? I'll just say this. You won't know until you try. But don't be surprised if you come for the affordability and stay for the peaceful atmosphere. Thanks for letting me share my view of Indonesia with you. I hope you leave me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Bye for now. See you next time.